So I've decided to cut this video in half because, let's face it, I'm too awesome to fit in one video, but also because I just wanted to make each video a bit shorter so that it stays on point and people have an easier time focusing. So where we left off the first time, we were talking about there are two types of torture that can exist in human reality. Physical torture and mental torture, which is the one that we are excellent at creating and replaying in our own mind. So, kind of playing off of that thought, knowing that we cause ourselves pain and harm just by the quality of our thought, why not have that same theory but apply the other way around? So if we can cause ourselves harm and release all these hormones in our body only with our thoughts and the state we're in from our thoughts, why not filter our thoughts and only give space for thoughts that are good for us and that help us maintain an aligned life? What do you mean by that? Let me tell you. So we know that bad hormones are released in our body when we are stressed out, which means logically that if we're not stressed out, those hormones are not released. But what if we were able to put ourselves in a good state with our thoughts so that aligns with our body eventually? So what does it mean to change our thoughts? Well, let's say, for example, I'm type 1 diabetic. It's my reality that I am always going to be connected to an insulin pump. It is fact that I currently need insulin to survive, to continue living. But I can control my thoughts in a love towards diabetes, towards my disease, and understanding that everything happens for a reason, and that it's existing in my life for a reason, and to open myself to lessons that can come into my existence because of my diabetes. So, Gina, what is the point of feeling good? I understand this is different from our reality, but really, what am I accomplishing here? Well, let's pause our current conversation. Let's have a time out here, and let's discuss something that I believe every human has, which is a soul. So a soul is kind of like a heart. You have it, everybody has it, but nobody really pays attention to why it's there. Everybody knows why you have a heart, but not a lot of people have really spent very much time exploring the reason for a soul and why it's there. I really believe that every person has a soul, and that every soul, and therefore person, has a purpose in life. So what is that purpose? And how do we know what that purpose is? And once we figure it out, what are we going to do about it? So I think I'm probably going to make another episode about our soul and our purpose, so stay tuned for that. But I will talk about aligning with your soul and what that means in this video here. So our soul's communication with us is very subtle, which means that we have to be a lot more quiet and attentive if we want to hear our soul out so that you can figure out what your purpose is. All humans have one purpose, but that looks very, very different from one person to another. So how do I know, Gina? Okay, so I get that everybody has a soul. I get that everybody has a purpose with that soul and it's there for a reason. I get all that. But how do I know what my soul is saying to me? Well, it's actually very simple, and it really ties well with what I was talking about with our feelings. When we feel enlightened or light or joyful, we are aligned with our soul. When we're feeling drained and tired and low and kind of just off, you wake up in the wrong side of the bed that morning, you're not necessarily aligning with your soul. So let's talk about how to be more sensitive towards your soul. First and foremost, you need to add stillness into your life. What does that mean? Stop saying yes to every invitation that comes your way. Not everybody is going to be spending your energy and your time wisely. So being conscious of how you're spending your time, how you're spending your energy is the first way of learning what your soul is all about. Having that stillness in your life allows you to stop or at least decrease your thought process, your mind that's going 500 miles an hour. You give it a moment to pause and pay attention inwardly, to start recognizing sensations that are happening in your body. And that can look very different for different people. It can be heat that you feel while you're meditating. It can feel inner peace. Those are all things and signs that your soul is telling you you're on the right track. So I know every person is going to be watching this is going to be like, yo, I can't sit still. Like, I can't sit still. I can't quiet my mind. You're asking too much, G. You're just asking too much. And here's my answer to you. When you go to the doctors because you're having pain in your hand, let's say, and the doctor says, okay, you're having pain, you are going to take Tylenol 3 times a day, and that will take away your pain. Your answer is usually not, but doctor, I'm having so much pain. No, your answer is like, okay, cool, give me the prescription, right? So when I tell you that you need to spend more time having stillness in your life, to sit with yourself and meditate, I don't want you to be like, oh, my mind is so busy, I'm too restless. That's why you need to meditate. This is a symptom of you needing to meditate, and I'm giving you the treatment for it. I can actually tell you from experience that the more meditation you have, the more focused you will be, and the more time you will have during the day, because you're not wasting so much time using coping mechanisms like scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, or chatting about superficial things with your friends because you don't want to actually deal with what's inside you. If you adapt more stillness in your life, you will have a lot more energy. You're going to feel like the day is so much longer than it is. You're going to have a lot more peace of mind within your day, and having that comfort within yourself, there are no words for it, honestly. Now that I've given you a whole bunch of information on how to deal with a very busy mind, how to figure out what your soul wants and what your purpose in life is by listening to your soul, how stressed are you? Let's go over some symptoms that happen frequently when you are not even necessarily stressed out. Sometimes people are just stressed at baseline. This is kind of just your normal. Okay, so let's see how stressed you are actually. Okay, so I'm going to ask a few questions, and I would like for you to either jot down your answers, or even just have a mental note, or like, maybe I should be paying more attention to that. Those are all reactions that are good, because my intention here today is to get you thinking about how you're spending your time and how aligned you are with your soul and your purpose and why you're here on earth. So I'm going to mention a list of common symptoms of an overactive mind, and I would like for you to reflect on how these apply to you, if any do. If they don't, that's great. That means you have a very quiet mind and that you're in complete control of when you are able to turn off your mind. Because as we've discussed, the mind is a machine. If you are able to stop your mind at a moment's notice, then you are in control of the machine. But if you feel like you can't stop your mind, then the machine is in control of you. And so and you become a victim of the constant cycle of thoughts that may not be helpful for you. So let's get into it. Common symptoms of an overactive mind. If you have enough sleep at night, if you have a full 8 hours of sleep, let's say, and that's how much you need to function, and you wake up and you're still tired, you're stressed. Your mind is overactive. If you notice that your emotions fluctuate drastically based on things that happen around you that are out of your control, for example, an argument with a colleague, a fight with a partner, a guy cuts you off in the street, whatever, somebody budges in front of you in the grocery line, whatever it may be, if it's something that's out of your control or things that are done by other people, and you're noticing that you're getting frustrated and you have an unpleasant feeling, or that you feel that you're not in control of your emotions, your mind is probably overactive. You have a sense of lack of control in your life, as in other people, especially partners or people that are close to us, have a very significant impact on our life. Now, culture is a whole other conversation that we're going to probably have at another time. Really, other people's opinions and interactions should not be a reason for us to lose our inner peace, because we are in control of our thoughts. Another one is, if you notice that you are having interactions with others and you're not necessarily there 100%, is a nice way of putting it, or you're not completely present, or they're saying something and your response isn't necessarily in response to exactly what they said, or you notice that someone's talking to you but your mind actually just went somewhere else. Those are all symptoms of an overactive mind. So if you notice that someone is talking to you and your mind is proactively creating a response to what they're saying, your mind is probably overactive. Another great one, which is extremely common, is you get on a kind of a crappy thought, and then that thought starts another thought, and then it starts another thought, and then soon after that you start going into a very deep negative cycle of bad thought after bad thought after bad thought. And what do I mean by bad thought? I mean a thought that puts you in a negative mindset, or it puts you in a bad mood, is another way of saying it. So all these symptoms are signs that you have an overactive mind or a stressed out mind. And it could not necessarily be because of a certain situation that came up. It could be just that you are not getting rid of the stress that happens day to day inevitably, because we live in a world with other humans. And that is really emphasizing the importance of meditation, because meditation kind of helps us relieve the superficial levels of stress that we inevitably take on without even realizing, especially if you work in a very, very high stress environment like emergency. I noticed when I was getting home that I was such a mess when I got home. I felt so tired and so down. And at that time, because I didn't meditate, it was an accumulation of all those things together. But really, even if I was meditating, I would still need to meditate every day, and I still do meditate every day, because you need to get rid of every moment a new layer is added on. And so if you don't get rid of that and you don't clear that energy that you took on, it just accumulates until one day you can't handle it anymore, which is what happened to me, and it happens to a lot of other people. So I think this video is long enough. I would like to conclude this video by reminding everyone that's watching that a lot of things happen in our mind without us even really realizing. And the key to recognizing whether or not you're acting out of a place of thought, i.e. ego, versus your a higher consciousness point of view, is the thought becomes you. And the difference here is that we are not our thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts happen. You can acknowledge that they happen, but they don't make you who you are. I like to, because I love analogies, I like to, any of my Harry Potter fans, so you'll definitely get this reference, but there is a scene in, I can't remember which Harry Potter it is, but where Dumbledore takes Harry into his office, and he takes his wand and points it to his temple, and takes a memory from his mind and puts it into like a small kind of pond? And he tells Harry to look into the pond. And so as soon as Harry kind of gets close to the water, Harry gets sucked into the memory and starts observing the memory, or even being, I can't remember if he's part of it, but let's just say Harry becomes part of that memory and interacts with that memory. So I use that analogy why, number one, I love Harry Potter, but also because that's what we're like when our thoughts take control of us. We are no longer outside looking into our thoughts. We are our thoughts. So when you have a thought of saying like, my partner did that because they are insecure about their appearance, let's say. Well, that's not actually true. That's a thought. You don't know if that's true because you haven't actually talked to your partner about it. But because you don't realize that your thoughts are not you think that thought is true. Your mind created a scenario, and because you have no control over your mind, you started believing that scenario as truth. But that's not how humans are supposed to function. We're supposed to have a baseline of peace and quiet, and then use our mind when we need to make important decisions. So if you feel like your thoughts are you, and you're not even realizing, like what the heck are you talking about? Take a listen again, watch these videos again, and see if anything resonates with you or kind of hits you different. Because really, it's just about being aware that this is even happening. If you are so busy and you feel like you don't have time to meditate, the idea of adding stillness in your life seems very overwhelming and it's not something you want to deal with, send me a DM, let's have a chat. And I also recommend that you start meditating for just short periods of time. So 10-15 minutes a day, twice a day even better. The longer the better. And the more you do it, the better you will feel and the more you will want to do it, because you're just objectively seeing changes in your life and in you, more importantly. If you are somebody who really values intellect, which I do still, but use intellect as a point of reference for making decisions, I really encourage you to reflect on that and really question if this is happening from a point of ego, or if this is something that you're making these decisions based on because it's in your best interest and this is most helpful for you, and this will help you align more with why you're here on earth. So I will share my practice. When I first wake up in the morning, and I like to wake up pretty early, I always ask myself, before, like as soon as I open my eyes, I don't even move my body. I just open my eyes and I ask myself, how am I feeling right now? And sometimes I feel kind of not great, which I'm sure is not uncommon. But the great thing about this practice is that you're able to recognize as soon as it happens. So it doesn't pick up momentum throughout the day so that you have a kind of a shit day. You're able to recognize it immediately as soon as you open your eyes, and therefore are able to stop it right away so that you can have more control of what state you want to start the day in. When you first wake up, you don't really know why you feel like shit, but you know that you don't necessarily want to continue the day in that state. So as soon as you do this practice, you'll notice that your day doesn't necessarily play out the way it used to when you would wake up in a kind of a shitty mood. So another really good pointers I will leave you with is all those activities that we do every day that seem very mundane. I suggest that you use those few minutes, those precious few minutes in the day, to see how you feel. How does the water feel on your hands when you're washing the dishes? How do your feet feel on the ground when you're walking from one room to another? How do you feel when you are getting close to home and you're driving, for example? All those things can tell you a lot of information. These feelings are information. This is information that you can use to better yourself and make better decisions moving forward from that moment. So I would love to know about how these practices have affected your life, if you have been able to incorporate them into your daily life, and how much change you've seen in your life because of them. I would love to hear it. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. It really makes a difference for me. And please like this video so that other people can find it, and just like it helped you, it can help other people as well. Because really, at the end of the day, this is why I'm doing it. This is a change, a significant change that I've noticed in my own life. And I can't help but want to share with other people because I just love the person I am today. I want to continue helping other people. And so you supporting this channel and supporting these videos helps me help other people. I would love to hear from you. Feel free to send me a private message or write in the comments. I am pretty easy to reach, so I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for your time.